When the galaxy first encountered the tiny, inconsequential mammalians known as humans, there was little fanfare. They were a little-known species in the quiet corner of the galaxy, just taking their first steps out into the cosmos. Their planet was of no value whatsoever. Their system, Sol, completely devoid of any natural resources that would make it even remotely interesting. An utterly mundane, boring little ball of green and blue parked quietly among an equally boring number of other little balls, floating quietly in a boring little corner of the most boring space you can imagine. In fact, imagine the whole thing dressed up in a boring grey suit, going to work for an accounting firm that does the accounts for an insurance company that insures against mild weather inconveniences, and you still won't understand how truly dull the whole place is. It was understandable then that nobody really cared when humans finally left their solar system. Mostly we just wanted them to keep their teaching to themselves and leave the partying to the rest of us. But oh no. The first human spacecraft, a stunningly typical rocket-shaped object, who could have seen that coming, carried an uninteresting diplomat who wanted to open a dialogue with its galactic neighbours. It died of a catastrophic life support failure 2 days into its voyage. The Takan race were particularly unnerved, pondering at great length over why this puny race would deliver a corpse to their doorstep. A corpse, I should note, that carried a variety of quite deadly diseases. The entire craft was incinerated, and a polite notice was sent to their home planet, Earth, requesting that they refrain from firing any further biological weapons into Takan space in the future. They claimed they were just trying to be nice, but agreed. Technically, they kept their word. The next spacecraft to arrive in Takan space was unmanned. Unfortunately, it experienced a failure in its guidance system and entered the atmosphere of their home planet at 60 kilometers per second. It was mostly incinerated, save for a few highly toxic chunks of engine, which landed in a densely populated area. It was pure luck that there were no casualties, but there was significant property damage and significant cleanup efforts were required. The humans later claimed that they were just trying to be friendly. The Takan were the first to suspect that their galactic neighbours may be something a little more than boring. They might actually be dangerous. While it was hard to imagine a hairless, clothed ape with a fuzzy head being dangerous, the evidence was mounting quickly. Another notice was sent to Earth, this one much less polite. Angry words were exchanged and threats were made, but the Takan made their point clearly. Leave us alone. Yet, it continued. A significantly more advanced communications relay was sent to a point between Earth and the Takan homeworld. Humanity poured their best resources into the effort, equipping it with a powerful fission reactor, long-range communications equipment, triple redundant guidance systems, the works. They were careful not to intrude in Takan space this time, parking it carefully on the edge of their territory, where it was watched around the clock by a small number of Takan patrol craft for the full 3 solar cycles it lasted, before self-destructing due to an uncontrolled fission reaction, destroying 3 patrol craft in the process. The outcry was immediate. The Takan were now convinced that the humans were not boring. They were extremely dangerous because they were idiots. They were instructed in no uncertain terms to stay there and let a Takan diplomatic delegation come to them. To their credit, they complied. The delegation arrived at their planet without incident. They arrived in orbit without any problems whatsoever. Even atmospheric flight was achieved with not so much as an attempt at helping in their own doomed-to-failure way. Right up until the delegation was landing. For some absolutely incomprehensible reason, a group of humans started launching small, bright, explosive projectiles into the air to celebrate their arrival. The Takan, prepared for this now familiar tactic of weaponized incompetence, immediately returned fire. The offending humans were subsequently peppered with laser fire before the Takan vessel turned around and left. All diplomatic ties were cut, and the humans were warned to expect a war if they ever so much as sent a stray radio signal into Takan territory ever again. In many ways, the Takan took the smartest approach at dealing with the humans. The Guelians were not so fortunate. Upon learning that humans were not so boring as they might have imagined, they just couldn't help but wonder at the possibilities a new alien culture might hold. They carefully opened communications channels, requesting a simple access to their communications networks only, hoping to limit any possible collateral damage and start building a dialogue slowly. The Guelian communications networks were immediately and catastrophically inundated with billions upon billions of the most mundane, useless, utterly stupid videos they'd ever encountered. Just billions of videos of small animals doing day-to-day normal mundane things. An equal number, if not more, of humans either colliding their genitals together like atoms in a particle accelerator, or dancing to the dullest attempt at music they'd ever heard. A quick side note, do not ever attempt to listen to human music. It is a masterclass in how to create utterly shameful audio torture, guaranteed to make any sentient creature confess to any crime in order to turn it off. It largely consists of a single repeating beat and mostly 4 notes on repeat. It is banned in 98% of the known galaxy. Even after they disconnected, Guelian communications took months to recover. Catastrophic damage was done to their economy, and to this very day, horror stories are told to children about videos of human pets that continue to lurk in long-forgotten communications nodes. The Guelians brought the issue before the Galactic Council. Fearful of what the humans might do if they made any more attempts at diplomacy, the Galactic Council did what any sensible being would do. They sent lawyers. The full contingent of proved legal experts descended on Earth. Of the 80 that were sent, 16 succumbed to untamed Earth illnesses. 4 more were eaten, and an astonishing 20 were killed in vehicular accidents. Although their losses were great, they secured a legally binding contract that ensured humanity would never leave their corner of space. They were free to expand however they wished, unimpeded and unhindered by any chance of wars or interference, so long as they left everyone else alone and made no attempt to be nice or friendly or anything of that nature. And so the party continued, and humanity blew up a moon. Fearful of dangerously dull, densely dunce-like debris being expelled into their territory, the Takan demanded the Galactic Council investigate. The humans had been mining. Mining! A small fusion accident, they called it. The Takan quadrupled their research budget into defensive technologies and withdrew from the closest border outposts to human space. When the Takan detected a previously stable gas giant being devoured by a black hole in human space, they demanded another explanation. Science, they called it this time. Years later, an entirely mechanical fleet claiming to be Zolon emerged from human territory. The Great Zolon conflict lasted 8 more years and later emerged to be a result of human research into automated terraforming. Terraforming! A team of archivists was sent to recover any available information about these horrifyingly incompetent humans from the Guelian communications incident, and the result of their investigation sent shivers through the galaxy. They accidentally burned entire cities to the ground, purposefully ingested poisons and addictive substances, committed acts of genocide against each other due to minor genetic variations, killed millions of their own kind in conflicts lasting tens of years, or longer. The list was endless. Societies built on stupidity, ideas based on ignorance, machines born out of mindlessness. The most insidiously brainless species ever to exist, tucked away in the most boring area of space ever discovered, like the universe's version of a cruel, twisted joke of a bomb just waiting to go off. A new galactic entity was established, the Human Containment Initiative, or HCI. With the budget of a galactic defense force, their only task was to contain this unprecedented threat, so that life elsewhere in the galaxy would have a chance at survival. Their approach was somewhat unorthodox, but bold problems require bold solutions. They cooperated and rebranded the Human Cooperation Initiative. They sent droves of highly trained, heavily armed and well-protected engineers, scientists, and diplomats directly into human territory, sent there to stop them from blowing themselves up, exploding any more moons, or imploding any more stars, or accidentally wiping out all life in the known galaxy while trying to operate a coffee machine. We gave them what they wanted. A friend, kept at arm's length. An uneasy peace emerged from this initiative, one that continues to this day, and one that may very well have saved the universe from early extinction. But make no mistake, the only reason we're all alive today is because when humanity reached out, over and over and over again, somebody finally stood up and said, "Wait, please, stop. We'll be your friends, just please, stop."